This is Jersey's news commentary channel. Just as the United States is imposing higher tariffs on some African countries, China announced zero tariffs for 53 African countries. Trump's tariff big stick has opened a window for Beijing to seize the moral high ground by striking a pose of being more open. In essence, this is a political show staged in front of 53 African countries. The CCP is trying to use openness and so-called concessions to outshine America's anti-globalization stick, performing a counterplay for the African audience, trading small market benefits for big political and diplomatic gains, while continuing to harvest the flattering title of Africa's big brother. Why do I say this? On the surface, China's zero-tariff policy sounds like it will trigger a flood of African goods into the Chinese market, bringing Africa profits. But once you open up the internal structure of China-Africa trade, you will see that the CCP's high-profile zero-tariff move is more rhetoric than substance. Let's start with one basic fact. Africa's exports to China have long been dominated by minerals, energy, and primary agricultural products. A considerable portion of these goods already enjoy low tariffs. The real constraints are stable output, transport costs, SBS standards, and processing capacity. Even if tariffs fall to zero, Africa's export capacity will not automatically expand. Take agricultural products as an example. China does have demand for certain African products: nuts, coffee, cocoa, and fruit. But entering the Chinese market requires stable supply chains, cold chain logistics, and standardized production systems. Many African countries are still developing in these areas. Therefore, zero tariffs are more likely to increase a few specific categories rather than lift overall exports on a large scale. The case of resource commodities is different. China's demand for minerals and energy has long existed, but resource trade is driven far more by global prices and investment cycles than by tariff levels. If global prices weaken, zero tariffs will not materially change total trade volume. Moreover, China's domestic demand is changing. Prolonged economic stagnation and depressed consumption leave very limited room for expanding imports of African agricultural products. That means even if Africa gets lower tariffs, it may still struggle to find meaningful new space in the Chinese market. So the significance of zero tariffs for Africa is closer to a narrative tool. It may slightly help a handful of countries that already have export capacity gain some additional share, but it is unlikely to change Africa's overall export structure. In short, once you look closely, the CCP's zero-tariff policy is pitched loudly and sung beautifully, but the 53 African countries will not end up exporting much more to China, while Beijing pockets the political advantage and still plays the gracious benefactor.